Welcome, welcome, welcome. I brought a few friends tonight. Say hello to Joe Cade and Michael B, the Game Genie. How you guys
Hello.
doing?
I'm okay. I can't believe I'm on with Joe Cade. Holy shit, it's Joe
I know.
Cade.
Fresh from his trip to Cleveland.
It was a pleasure seeing you, James. And
It
Mike,
was great
I
meeting you in
missed you.
person.
Yeah, you too. Mike, we missed you.
Apparently, Joe Cade is a bigger party animal than I am, so I don't know what to say here. I haven't been ousted in that in a while.
I don't know, man. He got in trouble for trying to mix his water, so that was you just
I get
don't
picked on. They
put
get a bullseye on me no matter where I go.
you just can't put your dry water with your sparkling water with your tap water. It
Still
causes
water,
all
right.
kinds of chaos.
I do agree with you about the Tecmo Bowl thing. I mean, that is bullshit. Any tournament that lets somebody play as Bo Jackson is bullshit. So, Joe Cade, I'm in your corner on that one.
I appreciate that.
Now, somebody's saying my volume is low. Is that correct?
I'll tell you what's not low. Your number of wives. Like, that is something you can never judge James on.
Indeed. So tonight, I've been thinking a lot, like while I was traveling and reflecting on the last couple weeks, and obviously, I and many others have taken a pretty critical look at Basic Fun and some of the other new cabinets. Obviously, we've had a history of taking a critical look at Arcade1Up, especially this year with the SE editions, whatever those things were. And it's always been interesting to me when I see comments in the chat that kind of run counter to what seems to be the prevailing opinion, right? So we'll think I'll say the Return of the Jedi, that was that Supreme cab, looks super weird. Like immediately I was just so taken aback by that. And then I see other people like, oh, I really like it. I'm adding this to my collection. I want that one. And so I find it really, really interesting and wanted to reflect a little bit on are we, the community as a whole, and maybe even especially YouTubers, hypercritical of these companies? Do we have unrealistic expectations of them? So let's just start there. What do you guys think?
Joe, you go first.
Well, me and James spoke about this. We spoke about this in the car, actually, on our way to Ramada. And if you wind the clock back 7 years ago, we were over the moon. We were over the moon. No one criticized the poor buttons. The poor makeup.
I think the buttons were always criticized right from day one.
I mean, when they first came out, though, nobody was focused on the marquee not being lit. Me and James, we said in the car, we were just happy. We were happy to have something that 20 years ago was a pipe dream. So yeah, I do agree. I think that there is hyperbole, if you will, hypercriticism on cabinets that come out. They never meet expectations. I don't know if it's a content creator thing. It might be, but yeah, I'll pitch it to you, Mike.
Yeah, so my take on this is a little bit different. From a content creator specific, I hate using that term. From a YouTuber perspective, it's tough because, you want to be fair and you want to deliver it like it's news, but it's hard not to have some kind of bias because at the same time, you're a fan. You're not just a news outlet reporting on this. A lot of times we're the people that are actually buying the cabinets too. And we all have our own interests. Like there's people that are viewed as uber critical who shit on Arcade1Up no matter what they do because they just don't like them. They like real arcades and they think Arcade1Up basically sullies the reputation of arcades and arcade collecting, and people are wasting their money. It's people that only focus on multicades who think it's a waste of money, and they're going to have their opinion. For me, I have a very specific taste, and I find it very hard not to let my taste bleed into trying to tell the companies what to do, or, when I'm reviewing one of these cabinets. I tried to do something different Monday night, like take a think about it, and try to explain that this might not be for me, and I might be really disappointed by the first wave of what Basic Fun is doing, but that doesn't mean they won't be commercially successful. And James, me and you were just talking about this before we started. Even though we shit on this all the time, maybe, we're not the only people buying this. There's people out in the community who, they're not looking for the exact same replica that maybe me or you are looking for. They're looking for something different. I was just watching what was it? Hey, Yo Retro right before this. And they showed somebody did a mod of a 7 and 8 Slam Masters cab out of a Capcom Deluxe. And like the first thing I looked at it was, I was like, yeesh, that's not arcade accurate. But, some people in the community want that. They want wacky graphics and want something different that they think looks cool. It's like the iconic thing. Like I shit all over the iconic art, but a lot of people liked it, even though I thought it was the most hideous thing in the world. So it's one of those things. Are we being too critical? Probably from a fan perspective. I mean, any fan would do that. Like James, me and you both like G.I. Joes. So, I mean, we both know a ton about them. So it's not like we're some random kid picking them up in Walmart. We're coming into them with heavy expectations. So, of course, we're going to be a little bit more critical and pick it apart. I think it's the level of fandom that really leads into that, more so than YouTuber or, general buyer. I'm sorry, I'm long-winded. I'll cut it off there and let you guys jump in.
No, that's all good. Like, it's funny you say that, and I'm thinking toxic fandom, right? Like they always like to label people that are, the more hardcore fans that care more deeply about the intellectual property, the game, the toy, you name it, and want that to be as perfect as possible. They call that toxic because you have an opinion that goes against what they're making or what the perceived mainstream is, I guess. And so on that front, do you think that the expectations of this community and that we hold these companies to is unrealistic? Like,
I think there's a percentage of the community that obviously watch these shows, engage in the social media environment, that are very negative towards anybody making this product, and they don't represent a buyer at all because they would never buy this product. They're not fucking interested in it. They don't want anything to do with it. And I'm fascinated by why they continue to be involved in the community, because they don't represent anything in the community. They're not interested in anything in the community, but yet they keep engaging with people in the community and products in the community like their opinion matters. They're not part of it. So, I don't really understand that. Like, if you're not a fan, you're not interested in buying, like, why do you stick around? Why do you engage? That fascinates me.
That's a great point. Yeah, no, I agree, Mike. I think that there's just people, the negative people, whether it's in politics, sports, anything, they're always the loudest, right?
Yeah.
And I think that they come to the gate hot and heavy. And to your point, if you're always angry, why are you here? why do you continue to do this? Like,
do something to make yourself happy, right? Like, if you don't like Arcade1Up or you don't like these other products, watch something about what you do like. go find a fucking hobby, get into beekeeping or something. Jesus.
Yeah, and so before we jumped on, Mike, you and I were talking about a little debate I was having with Paul Mindeman about the perceived popularity of XLs versus Deluxe, right? We have what my opinion is that the community is oversampled. Like, we believe, I think the majority of people in this community want XLs, but at the same time, I feel like the larger community as a whole, like the larger consumer base as a whole, isn't there. Like, I think they, and that, to me, that's proved out in some of the sales numbers and things you see. So I'm curious if you think along those fronts, like, what do you think the casual buyer is looking for, as opposed to people in this community that kind of know exactly what to expect? Like, we know what the ROMs look like. We know what the side art looks like. We know even the gates that are supposed to be on the cap, right? What do you think is different, if anything, between the casual buyer and what people in this community look for?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's. I'll use this analogy. I was at Ohio, and we went to an arcade called Playtimes. Playtime Arcade. Pastimes. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mike. I stand corrected. And me and Stockjack were having a debate on the arcade. I wanted the black light rug and very dim lights, and he wanted tile, and he wanted bright lights. And that's because that was the motif in the late 1970s when he started out as going to an arcade. And mine, when I started, was the 80s. And then someone, I forget who it was, it might have been Jay. He said, well, all of these arcades are small. And me and Stockjock agreed. We're like, no, they're not. So I think to answer your question, James, I think it depends on the demo that you're targeting. Like if you started out in the 70s or the 80s, the cabinets were small. You were taller. When you would go up to them, an adult was taller. It wasn't until the 90s that they really scaled. So I think there's a market. I don't think everyone, I think it's dangerous to paint with a broad brush and say everyone wants the XLs. I certainly don't. I don't know about how you guys feel.
For me, I prefer XLs, but no, they're not making them. Like they haven't been making them, right? So hopefully some of these newer companies like Iconic and Basic Fun are going to deliver them. But I only have one XL, and that's the Pac-Man one, because the other ones they've brought out personally don't have the replica look. I'm more in the Mike B camp where I want it to look like the original. I want it to feel like the original. I can forgive some aspects not being right on as long as it's very close, right? And so, so where I'm at, I can understand that, but I also understand that not everybody has a basement and a ton of room to put bigger ones in. And there's definitely something to say about the smaller ones, like the deluxes and things like that, just from space and having one YouTuber in the space, right, hated XLs because he didn't want his cabinets to be different sizes. Now he's all in on XLs and hates the other ones, right? So there's a variety of reasons.
Let's be fair. That YouTuber is an idiot. We can all agree about that. I will say this, like me personally, I didn't want XLs at first because at the time I had 18 arcades in my basement arcade. They were all a certain size. I was the same way. I was like, I don't really know if I want these. Plus, like the XLs at the time were Golden Tee, which is not going to do much for excitement with me. And then NBA Jam looked like shit because it had this white silhouette of Shaq on the side of it. But when I got them and I noticed like the size difference and everything like that, it got me excited. Like I was lucky enough that I got a deal from Arcade1Up. I bought them for like 50% off. And when I got them, I was like, oh shit, like these are actually really cool. Like they're a really cool size. This is more authentic to what I remember. Made my other Arcade1Ups feel dinky. And I was like, you know what? I'm going all in on this. I bought the KI Pro. I was lucky enough that even though I'm not in the US, Arcade1Up sent me a review Pac-Man XL. And I was like, I'm all in on XL, but then they stopped making them. They were tied to one a year at Costco and just realized it wasn't realistic. Now, me personally, yes, I would like all these cabs to be XL, but I also see the other side of it. I think of a buddy of ours like Zim. Zim has like 60 arcades in his house, right? And they're all 3/4 scale, and he doesn't really want to differentiate with that. Some people don't want to pay the extra money. Some people are totally happy with having the smaller arcades. Everybody wants something different. I think that the XL market has definitely not been satiated with what Arcade1Up brought out. I don't think there's a lack of demand. I don't think they didn't sell well. I just think that Arcade1Up put themselves in a situation that they made them exclusive to Costco, and then everything got screwed up. So I think that the companies coming out now, like Basic Fun and Iconic Arcades, Extreme Cabs, are going to meet that demand, and that's great. But Basic Fun, I think, is very smart in the fact that they're also doing the smaller ones, albeit I think they made a big mistake doing the smaller ones so much shittier because they're doing basically Arcade1Up Deluxes, but shitty versions of Deluxes without stuff like speaker grills, without a faux coin door. Yeah. It just looks cheaper and junkier.
So Milkman Classic here, I pulled this chat up earlier. raises an interesting question, right? Like we all XLs, we want to pay $5.99, or some of the bigger ones are $6.99, or we want $4.99 US for deluxes, or even less. So is it unrealistic to expect better recreations, or do we have to accept that in order to hit those price points, we need to do with less?
I think before we go there, put a pin in that, James, because there is something that has to be discussed in this conversation when it comes into, do we expect too much? You got to be careful when you do this, because people always take it out of context. A lot of those people that, obviously don't like arcade was in the first place, and are trying to paint a picture on people that do, to be, too soft on them or something like that. Whenever you say, do we expect too much, they always turn it into, these people want low quality. They're trying to fool people into buying low quality junk. And the thing is, of course, we want better buttons. Of course, we want a better experience. We want better online and all that stuff. So let's be clear. We're not having a conversation about that. We're having a conversation about how we're really picky about things that other people probably won't care about, which is stuff like the side art, stuff like the shape of the cabinet, yada, 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 not the hardcore essential gaming stuff that people will try to turn this into. So just be very clear about that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I don't mean to imply like we should just accept it. I'm just in the real world, right? Is that the situation? Do we expect too much? Because I expect quality controls. I expect a quality PCB that isn't going to burn out on me.
Well,
$500, right?
I don't know why you're buying Arcade1Up.
I know. So knock on wood, I haven't lost any yet. But that's the point, right? We're used to at this high dollar, we expect more. Yeah. But is the nature of the situation that obviously they don't deliver more. So are we unrealistic in expecting more is kind of the question.
Well, you're never going to get exactly like, what you got in the arcade. Yeah. I think most people know that. That's not so much the industry as anything, it's not going to look as good on a VHS or a DVD as it did in the movie theater. If you get TGIF wings and you bring them home, they're not going to taste as good as in the restaurant. I think that's common knowledge, but you make a great point. I think people, not all people, but I think some it's like, this is how it is in the arcade. And I want it exactly that way, exactly how I played it, exactly how I remembered it. And you're never going to get it, to that price point, to that quality, to the size dimensions. So I think that there has to be some sort of give and take here with a lot of the community, that if this is as good as it gets, and some of these are fantastic, we should be happy with that.
I have a hard time with that, Joe, because I agree with you, but I worry that it comes across as like, guys, we're lucky to have anything. Like, honestly, like if they give us a piece of board with a screen in it, we're so lucky to have that. So it just, I don't want to say we're lucky to have it. We absolutely are. In some extent, some of these are really, really good, but sometimes I feel like they're really pushing us without providing the value they should for us. And there's a really big disconnect with Arcade1Up and what the core community wants. Obviously, we've discussed that for years. I know that James, you're trying to say, but even though we don't want Slim Katie's, a bunch of people might not care. And I don't know if that's true or not true. We'll see what the sales determine on that when Arcade1Up is full on in this direction now that every cab is going to be narrow as fuck. So we'll see, they're celebrating 7 years. We'll see if they make it 8 with that kind of mindset, right?
Yeah, that's the other interesting thing. Obviously, Basic Fun has some slims in their lineup that we've seen. Now, none have yet to make it to market, so it'll be interesting to see if they do. But it's definitely an interesting take to have these like slimmer up against the walls. Like, I can see it in certain situations. I don't think it's the American market, but I can see it globally being a big deal.
Yeah, sorry for jumping back in again quickly, Joe, but I'll go back to something AtGames told me when they came out with the Legends Gamer Mini. the idea behind it wasn't necessarily for the North American market. It was in some extents, but it was mainly for, at the time they were talking about like the Korean market. Like these people had no room in their homes and they were looking for little small gaming cabinets. That was the focus. So maybe that's what the focus is for Arcade1Up, these slim cabs. It just makes more sense to develop them for everywhere. I don't get it. I think
James, you're asking the questions. I'm asking you. Do you think that expectations are too high? What do you feel on this?
I don't personally, because I don't think we ask for much, right? I think we ask for screens in the right orientation. We ask for the right art on the side, right?
That's
like, I would prefer some XLs come out that look better, but I'm okay with the 3/4 scales. Like I have the XL Pac-Man. I love it. It's the perfect Pac-Man for having a lightweight, looks like it should, plays like it should. But I've also said my favorite thing is the Nintendo build choice I got from G.I. Joe. It's awesome. It plays great, but it's a 3/4 scale. It's smaller, but it's awesome. It's so fun to play. And it looks like it should look. It just happens to be shrunk a little bit, right? So for me, the size is preferred, but it's not a deal breaker, right? I'm not going to not buy something that I want just because it didn't come in the XL size. And I think it's fair to, it's realistic, for them to, get the right art. They're putting a sticker on the side. They can put the right sticker on the side, It shouldn't be that
as
difficult.
much as the fans want to complain about everything and we can point to them and say they're a problem. Mike brought up a good point. Fans like me are a problem too, who are just easily satisfied. So I have to acknowledge that.
Well, I was just being funny, but
but you bring up a good point. Like, I'm easily satisfied. And I think that's the other.
Well, you are a big fan of the cornercade, so I got that impression already.
That is a good point, Joe, because I guess the flip side of that is they're never going to improve those things if they sell a million units of it the way that they're making it. So, right, they say talk with your wallet, but at the same time, if the market is saying, that's good enough, then that's good enough, right? Like they're going to chase where the market is, not necessarily where the hardcore audience is. If something doesn't sell, they're not going to, you would hope a well-run business is not going to keep cranking it out.
Yeah. So one thing I'm really excited for now, I think, again, I'm being pretty critical of the Basic Fun Ultra cabs because I think they are low tier versions of the deluxe cabs from Arcade1Up. But it would be interesting to see their sales numbers of their Slim series compared to their Ultra series. I think that'd be really interesting data for Arcade1Up to maybe make a course correction on what they're doing with their deluxes. Because I do think, honestly, the Slim stuff is hurting them. Like, I don't think it looks good. I think there's compromises to the artwork. I think Basic Fun is compromising the artwork pretty badly too. But Arcade1Up didn't need to compromise the artwork like this because they can't actually adjust it. So they've got to make it smaller to fit down the smaller depth, which means then they had to put it awkwardly placed on the cabinet a lot of times. So I mean, I think that's going to be interesting data. I hope Basic Fun does really well. I hope Iconic Arcade does very well. I hope that Arcade1Up, to an extent, does well. Not well enough that they don't course correct, but well enough. I kind of hope all these companies do well. But I'll go back to what I said. I don't know if they're doing exactly what I want, and I don't know if they're doing what I want. So I will spend money, and it comes across when I talk on YouTube about it, and I can't help that. I'm not going to say everything's super when it's not super for me.
Yeah, I definitely see that, right? Because I feel that heavily about the newest announced cabs. Like I want Double Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
The addition of the 3 extra buttons has me asking a lot of questions, like what's on there that needs 6 buttons. The Street Fighter Alpha 2 isn't a recreation; it's in the right form factor, but the art is. But I really liked the art. I thought the art kicks ass. So I was willing to compromise. But when I look at Basic Fun, I have a hard time with what they've released. So I guess my question would be, why do you think certain cabs like WrestleFest or on Basic Fun Return of the Jedi, or even going to some of the stuff from Arcade1Up, like let's say the classic SEs or even that Neon Pac-Man, why did they get more criticism in general, do you think, than some of the other wacky stuff that some of these companies put out? Like, especially Arcade1Up did a lot of weird stuff in the early days, right?
I think it's money, James. I think it's money. And right as that thought popped into my head, I want to highlight Stock Jock's comment right here. But Mike, don't you think that A1U is doing this because they're in cost-cutting mode, survival? They're forcing to this very long. I mean, and this is a great point, you know, and this goes back to was the quality poor? They're in cost-cutting mode. Why are they putting up Pac-Mans over and over again? They lost a lot of licenses. Every complaint that we have about A1U, and believe me, I'm not waxing poetic on them, but every complaint that we have, there is a reason behind it.
Most of it is stupidity at the top of the corporation, to be honest. Not so much really smart business decision to cut costs. They absolutely are in financial difficulty. I mean, they're the ones who came out and announced, good news, guys, we've borrowed against our accounts receivable, which is the worst kind of borrowing you could do. Now we have, operating capital again. What's the actual term? They have cash. I can't remember now, but like it was really sad. It was a sad announcement. And I was like, Jesus. I don't think you're wrong about I don't think you're wrong about them cutting costs, but I think some of these decisions aren't necessarily with cost. Like you don't save enough in your wood and weight and shipping costs from what the Deluxe was compared to what the Deluxe Slim is to really justify making that difference. Someone at the company really did think people want thinner cabs. That's a big problem, that these cabs are taking up too much room in people's houses. Then they each gave each other high fives, went out to a steakhouse, kissed, and then went about their lives. So,
so let's flip it a little bit. Let me ask you this: are there any Arcade1Up releases or anything from another company? Right, they still haven't released them yet, so it's hard to say somebody else, right? That's why Arcade1Up gets most of the arrows right now. But is there any cab that was released that you were shocked that people actually really liked, that you just thought there's no way anybody's gonna be into this one, and it ended up being a success?
Well, I don't know if it was a success, but I saw this one asshole YouTuber buy the NBA Jam Slim twice. So honestly, I can't tell you if something was a big success that I thought was going to be a massive failure. I don't know if I've been wrong on many. It seems like mostly what's successful seems to be, what I think will be successful. Maybe the only one that surprises me is the continued support for Pac-Man. Like, I understand it's the license that runs the ship. It's the cash cow for the entire organization. But at the same time, I mean, how many times can you go to that well?
Yeah, I'm the wrong person to ask this, James, because everything I thought is big, the tables weren't. The Wheel of Fortune, the Casino Cade wasn't. The claw machine I was really excited about. I'm the wrong person to ask this. Everything I like, for whatever reason, is panned. For whatever reason, I like it when A1U does things outside the box. And I thought the claw machine was sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say I love the claw machine too. That was no secret, right? I went nuts for it the second it was leaked in that intentionally leaked in DMAX stream, right? Like, and I took some shit for it, but it sells really well for them, right? They can't keep the thing in stock.
Oh, I do have a good example. The photo booth. apparently the photo booth was a huge success. Yeah. And I didn't think so personally. It wasn't something I wanted. I understood it because we had like a, box photo booth, like one of those ones you get the 4 pictures out of, right outside our arcade. So it tied in, made sense to me. But like, I didn't think there would be any uptake for this market. And somehow this Instagram Polaroid market got all into it. People were buying them, bringing them to weddings to do picture booths, and it actually blew up. That surprised me a lot.
I know, yeah. I brought that up earlier on the stream. No, but that's like, if you're losing the license and you want to do something different and do outside the box, double down on that. Go more on that. Don't just binary this into pinball and cabinets, because that's not what an arcade is. It's not binary. You see claw machines. So if I'm A1U, make more claw machines. Make skee ball. Make bubble hockey. Make air hockey. Make things that you see at an arcade. And if the audience pans you, they pan you. But James brought it up. He brought up a great point. The claw machine actually, for all the negative that we heard, all the bullshit. Can I curse on this show?
Absolutely.
Fuck it. Go ahead.
It sold well. So keep going on that, because when you go to an arcade, you play basketball. There's vending machines. There's more than just tables and cabinets, is the point.
So this is the point in the conversation that I want to remind people that the views and opinions of Joe K do not reflect those of Michael B. the Game Genie Inc.
So Mike, obviously this one's directed at you here. Evan wants to know, if they released an extra slim Robotron, would you be in on it?
No, not at all. Arcade1Up, I was very clear about this. Once they started doing the slim stuff, it would be almost impossible, regardless of the title, to get me to buy anything. I'm not going to support them when they do the slim. If they did a deluxe that was, consistent with what they were doing before, yes, I would buy it. If they do an XL that's, good, 100% I'm going to buy it. But I won't buy a slim. I will not cave regardless of the title.
So big shout out to Terry Galloway, who says AtGames has recently gone downhill in his $1.99 super chat. Says customer service is not good. And really appreciate the super chat, Terry. And I have to agree with you. It's for me, right? That was the product of 2024. There wasn't really anything else, and it was like, hey, this is great. And it's just gotten worse and worse and worse from a reliability standpoint, and issues they've had ever since they started doing cutbacks. It's just, it kind of sucks, because there's a whole slew of new games coming out that are pretty interesting. And I just keep having second thoughts. It's like, I'd rather spend that money on Pinball FX VR than on the 4KP. So what do you guys think? Are you, Joe, do you have any AtGames products?
Yeah, shout out to John Riggs. He got me an affiliate with them, so I appreciate it. And they sent me a bunch of toys, and they said they would send me other stuff. I haven't received it yet, but I've got the Legends.
Oh, okay. They sent you toys?
Yeah, they sent me. I'll show you what they sent me in the letter.
AtGames sent you toys?
I'll show you what they sent me in the letter that they sent me.
Like sex toys?
You might have got the dog toys. Remember the dog toys they teased?
Oh, maybe that's what it is. Yeah, John Riggs.
Drives. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, John Riggs is super nice like that. Before I really got into the arcade community, he actually reached out and he was like, yeah, I'm doing this thing with Numbskull. Do you want a partnership with Numbskull? And anyways, yeah, he got me a Christmas sweater sent out to me from Numbskull, and he also got me a Miss Pac-Man Numbskull quarter arcade. So John Riggs is super good people, isn't he?
Yeah, I love John Riggs. He's
super
awesome.
Good guy. He helped me out, and at a time when I had no affiliates. Anyway, I have some stuff from them, and one of the best items I have from them is the Mini. It's called the V-Pin Mini, the Legends. It's like 50 tables on that. And I play it a great deal. It's different than a traditional pinball table, obviously, but no, I enjoy it very much. The big ones they're a little out of my price range right now. I'm on a budget here, but no, my long-term ambition is to get the large ones though.
Yeah, they are definitely up there in price for sure.
So let's talk AtGames, and it's really sad because I think everybody that was in the home arcade space for a number of years is really suffering right now. There was a downturn in products, people's sales expectations, their projections for revenue throughout the year were probably drastically off for the last couple of years because they anticipated sales to be higher, consistent with previous years, and there's been a big steep decline in interest in this product line overall. Some of that comes to do with the fact that, a lot of people got stuffed with Arcade1Up products, and because of that, like a lot of retailers overall stopped buying arcade products, and that impacted everybody across the board. So I feel bad for AtGames because I think they've gone all in on pinball. And pinball is an even nicher market than arcades in some extent. So, I mean, there's less of a fan base. They do some really good stuff. The AtGames Legends Pinball 4KP is a phenomenal product. It is great. It is so great to see Zen games coming out on it. Like, I mean, we just got Funhouse yesterday. The other two games are rage-inducing, but Funhouse is great. And, we just found out Elvira's coming out on the AtGames Legends Pinball on the 16th of October. So that's really fucking exciting. But AtGames, unfortunately, can't seem to get out of their own way either. They have their own mindset, their own way of doing things, their own way of doing customer support. And it's very counter community. I don't know the best way to say it. Like, they just can't get out of their own way. Like, they just keep fucking up. Like, with improvements that are supposed to make things good that fuck other stuff up. I don't know who their team is that does like their updates and stuff like that. I heard at one point it might even be Magic Pixel doing the updates right now on their machines. I don't know, but I feel really bad about that because it's also those updates that they keep doing to the machine that are causing the drive of calls to customer service, because it's not actual problems with the physical device. The physical device works great. It's the fucking firmwares, the firmwares and the firmware updates. That's AtGames' biggest problems. Like, honestly, they would not have the problems to customer service. They would not have reliability issues with consumer community being upset at them. It's 100% based on that, and I feel so fucking bad for them because it's a really good product. They, not everybody might agree with the Zen games not coming in at 4K, but it's not that big a deal to me. They run great, and it's great to have them on a device like this. But man, those issues with the updates, how many people have just lost their patience, and like good, sensible people like Gallagher Guy 88. Not sensible people like 19K Fox who just get upset and sell their machine over this stuff. I mean, get your updates cleaned up. Like, maybe go with a different developer or something for your updates, or maybe don't do as many fucking updates. And don't fuck around so much with that stuff. And you probably won't have as many problems with people calling customer service or people having questions about the quality of your product.
How about you, James? You got any AtGame products?
I have the 4KP and I have the Legends HD pinball. So I have both. And I purposely chose not to sell the HD because I have a bunch of tables on it. And like Mike, I bought the 4KP for 4K. I didn't want to rebuy all those tables I already had. And it still looks good. So there was not enough. I didn't feel like I needed to sell it. Plus, I got it for a really good deal. So I paid less than $200 for it at Sam's. So to me, it was like, now I have two. So it looks like I have multiple pinball machines. So two people can play at once and that kind of stuff. But I will say that leads me into a question because, I think the 4KP is a great example. Are there any cabs or other home arcade products that you guys really liked that you were shocked that weren't the success we thought they were? Because for me, 4KP is a big one, right? Like, immediately I was like, this is awesome. I want to buy it. I pre-ordered it out of the gate, like all the stuff with it. I think the SSF kit, if you haven't experienced it, it is something else. Like, it is so good. And yet it's not selling very well. And it wasn't selling very well before the issues that they're having now.
Now, before I answer, I want to just counter that question. Is it not selling well because the price point is not where it should be, because I think there's interest there, but if they overcharged it,
I don't think they're overcharging it. Like we always question the price on these things and say this is cheap junk and I should be able to buy it for $199 when nobody has any common sense or any actual business acumen to what it actually costs to make these cabs. Like, do I think the cabs actually cost $499 for them to come out of the factory all in? No, obviously there's some fucking overhead built in and a little bit of profit. Yes, but we're not getting ripped off that fucking hard. So I think that in order for the business to keep running and the costs, I think AtGames were cutting it pretty close when they were selling them for, $10.99. Was it $10.99 originally for the first discount? And even then, I think they were selling them at a loss. I think $15.99 is as cheap as they can sell them for. But what they've learned through the process is maybe people aren't willing to pay that. So that's why I think they're looking at the new, HD version. They're trying to find a version of what they've been successful with the 4KP, but make it cheaper because they feel that's where things aren't working. It's also one of the reasons where they came out with the AtGames affordable financing, which is so fucking weird for a company to do that themselves instead of going through some third party. But again, the same thing you just said, maybe the demand, it doesn't match the supply at the price they're charging, even though it's a good product. So they were trying to find unique ways to make it more affordable for customers to buy. And I think maybe the path is downgrading it a little bit, going with an HD screen, but with still the same functionality as the 4KP.
If it is a higher price, your pinhead is an older demographic, it's late 70s, early 80s, in their 40s and 50s. And you would assume that consumer has a higher disposable income. Now, Jay just said it's definitely overpriced. See, so I agree with you, Mike, but I think everybody lives on their own budget, and you can't go lower than $1,500. That's accurate because you'd be selling them at a loss. But to some people, I don't think this is about demand. I don't want to veer off James's question. I don't think this is about desire. I think if the price point was cheaper, and maybe like Mike said, in order to get that price point cheaper, you've got to do lesser tech, lesser quality, so to speak. I would test it out there. I would drop the price in some of these corresponding products before just saying, what do you think?
If you can drop the price, that's the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the interesting thing. One would argue that AtGames is in a more advantageous position when it comes to this stuff than other companies because they've developed a store and ecosystem, right? And when you look at, again, they're larger corporations, so they have bigger funds to do this with. But when you look at those companies, they tend to take the hardware at a loss in order to make money on the games. Now, it's unclear how much profit margin AtGames gets out of those games, right? Like I know Arcade1Up gets, roughly 30%, similar to what Google and Apple get of app sales in there. So is that the same when it comes to Zen, when it comes to Magic Pixel? I have no idea. For all we know, they could be making nothing, and they have to make all the money off the hardware. But depending on what that is and their cash on hand, how much of a hit they could absorb.
Sure.
A loss leader on something like that would be smart. Now, they would probably have to charge a little more for tables in that situation, but I think most of us agree I hate saying this like on a YouTube stream and going on record, but there's room to raise prices on those Zen tables. Like people will pay a higher price point for them. For a lot of people, that's why they bought the 4KP. I know for me, that's the case. So it's an interesting one. And it also makes me wonder, even if how much cheaper can the new HD, the rumored HD coming out be when it's using the same electronics and technology under the hood? You're just getting a different monitor in there. It's not like we're getting the highest end monitors to begin with. You can go out and buy a 75-inch 4K TV right now for $150, $200 at some places. So how much how much savings can they possibly have going down to HD? Now I know the back glass is going to be
hopefully $600 because
yeah,
that's what they need
have
to
to
do.
knock it down a ton, right? And I don't see how they can get. To me, they have to get below $1,000, right? With the
I mean,
that's it.
that is the market right now. Like
Yeah.
we talked about how the arcade market has shifted. Like most people want to spend $500 is the maximum. They don't want to spend that much, but that's the maximum they want to spend. Then you're getting into what's considered to be deluxe models up around $1,000, $1,200. And I think AtGames with that HD model really needs to come in sub $1,000 in order for it to be successful.
Yeah, the magic sweet spot. I want to acknowledge Terry James. He gave another super chat.
Oh.
Thank you. The magic sweet spot, and it's the holiday season's coming soon. Next week's October. If you want to move these things, I agree with Mike. I think that's the sweet spot, and you can't really deviate from that price point. You have to do your best to get it right there, and if it means adjusting quality, downgrade, if you will, for lack of a better term, do that. Because I think people will buy it if it, you could sell it. Oh, this is the best quality. This is top notch. If it's too expensive, it doesn't matter if people can't afford it. So I agree with Mike.
Well, look at our buddy Meatball. He used to give us so much shit because this is completely off topic now, but the ROG Ally Xbox edition was, coming out. And the original price was thrown out at like $899, and I said, "Yeah, I expect it to be sub $1,000." And Meatball was like, "No way, you guys are idiots! It's gonna be like $1,400, man." And I was like, "No, they won't sell any that way." Pre-orders finally went up today, and Meatball actually said, "I am so happy that I was wrong because it actually sold for $9.99, $1, albeit, but it did come in at that sub $1,000 price point." So, I mean, companies know that. Like that's probably not even sensible for what they should have sold it for. Meatball's probably 100% right, but people aren't going to spend so much. So you got to ask that question as an arcade company. You're like, people really want me to do this Robotron cab. Robotron's a really good idea. Going to do this, but it's going to cost $1,500. Should I do it because of that? Right? And if you don't think the juice is worth the squeeze, then maybe they shouldn't do it. It sucks. I would love a Robotron, but I'm not going to pay $1,500 for it.
So again, want to shout out Terry. Appreciate the $4.99 super chat. And obviously, he still loves the 4KP, just hates the customer service. And I think we all feel that way.
Mike, I don't want to get off track here, but you brought up Robotron a couple times. And I just want you to know Stock Jock went on and on about how wonderful and great a player you are in Ohio.
How about that? I do enjoy. I miss that this year. I never got to spend time with Daryl, and we always have that wonderful moment where I'm really happy that I put up a decent score on Robotron, and then he just obliterates me literally in seconds. Like I think they reset the scores every day at Galloping Ghosts, but that was a cherished moment for me. I walked up there, and it's probably not the best score in the world, but I put up like an 86,000 on Robotron, and I got like number one. And I was like, yeah. And then Daryl walked up and he was like, I beat you, right away.
And he hadn't even like say that. I had to dig for that.
Yeah.
Like, did he do better than you? He's like, no. Well, what did you do?
Daryl is so good.
What was your score? Tell me your score. It was high. Like, he's so humble. He's such a gentleman. What a treat meeting him.
Yeah, Stock Jock is the best. So if anybody gets a chance to meet him in person, you definitely need to, because he is one
such
of
a good dude. Minch.
Yeah. Yep. So it's funny because I started mentioning Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, man, what a fucking mess that is.
Yeah, and it was interesting because it looks terrible in my opinion, right? And it's one of my favorite cabs because of I have a nostalgic connection to it, right? And I found it interesting. Like in one picture, Mike, you hated it, and then under a different picture with a different lighting, you were warming up to
He
it.
said it's growing on me. I'm glad you're calling him.
Yeah.
Put his feet to the fire on this. Hold on.
Like here's the thing about it. I got in a bit of a racket with Justin on this, and I talked about this Monday on my show. You know, it's one of those things that I think Star Wars fans, like from a business standpoint, I think it's smart because Star Wars fans that they've already had opportunities to buy both Star Wars and Return of the Empire Strikes Back through Arcade1Up. And you know, Star Wars Empire Strikes Back is just a very minor conversion kit for Star Wars, so it's not that big of a deal. But they've never had Return of the Jedi before, so I think that just so people can line up those three in their home for big Star Wars fans and collectors is a big thing. It sucks for me because I've always said that's going to be a really hard cab to replicate, because if you're trying to actually do the original cab shape and all that stuff, it's a really unique cab. It's really deep. And, you know, this is an example of that. It proves that they couldn't do it. Why they didn't do like the pedestal in the front, why they didn't do like the actual shape. Probably some idiot that used to work at ThinkUp told them that it was going to be too dangerous. It was going to be a tip hazard or something like that. So they decided to go with the Boxytron shape. I don't know. Like there's things I like about it, obviously, because the original cab is really cool looking. And if you pick out the original things on that, like the correct, you know, artwork on the side, the marquee, like there's things to like about it. And I could come around about it. The other thing is, I don't currently have a way to play Star Wars at home, and I want one. So I'm warming up to it because I kind of fucking need it.
Are there, so for, you know, and Joe or whoever, are there other cabs like that you started out thinking, this is not for me, I don't like it, and then you warm up to it and say, actually, that's really cool, I want that one, or
the Wheel of Fortune. I'm going to get flamed for this, but the casino cab, the more I looked at it, the more I was like, yeah, you know what, this would be cool. This is unique. It's different. You know, I've got my in-laws who are casino goers that come into, you know, my house. They would enjoy it, but it was different looking, and that's why I liked the Return of the Jedi, because it's different looking. Yeah. And Mike brought up a great point too. He said that, you know, collectors can put them next to each other. There's so little of that in home arcade. You know, I like combo cabs. It's nice when you see a Pac-Man and a Mrs. Pac-Man next to each other, or an MK1 and an MK2. That, you know, people are like, oh, it's not as good as the A1U Star Wars. It doesn't look the same. It doesn't need to look the same, at least for me. I just like that I could put it next to my Star Wars A1U and it becomes like a combo showpiece. So I think that's a good point that Mike brought up. It didn't grow on me when I first looked at it because I never disliked it.
Yeah, like if you're not like me, infatuated with, you know, the original arcades, this probably isn't going to bother you. This is exactly what we're talking about during this show. Like, are we being too critical? Like, I don't think it's ugly. I think it's ugly in comparison to the original arcade. It's not a good representation. But this is the same thing I said about the situation with WrestleFest, which actually is a good cab representation. I mean, it's beautiful. It's just the licensing issues have fucked it up. I'll say this. Right now, no license is 100% locked to a company, but we don't know that Iconic Arcade is ever going to get Star Wars. We don't know if Arcade1Up is going to get Star Wars back. The thing is, if you do not have a Star Wars, that you can find online right now, this is really your only option. Kind of like WrestleFest. It's the only time WrestleFest is probably ever going to get made. So if you wanted a recreation arcade like an Arcade1Up, this is your shot to buy it. Whether it's got the wrong marquee or not, you can decide, but this is the only time it's going to be available. So you either buy it or you don't. And it's kind of the way I'm looking at Return of the Jedi, which I don't really want it, but I don't know if anybody's going to make a Star Wars cab again with the yoke and all that stuff, other than me going out and getting like a multicade and sticking one of Glenn's yokes on it. So I'm thinking if the, you know, Supreme comes here, I'll get it. I'll never get their Ultra Cabs. I think their Ultra Cabs are disappointing. Yeah. But if the Supreme comes to Canada, I'm probably going to get a Supreme Return of the Jedi. I don't love it. I don't even like it to some extent, but I also know that if I want Star Wars, that's probably going to be the only game in town. I'm not going to rush into it, though, because I'm a little worried about the emulation. I got to be honest about that.
James, last word. Return of the Jedi. What do you think? What say you? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
So, like I said, I have a real emotional connection to that cab. Like we had it in the comic shop. It's one I've played to death. Like, I love the Return of the Jedi or the game. Not the movie's good, but the game is awesome. And so for me, seeing what Basic Fun did to it, it would be like them taking Kit from Knight Rider and putting him in a minivan. Like,
yeah. So have you ever watched the movie The Godfather? You ever watched the movie The Godfather?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like that scene, my boy, they massacred my boy.
Yeah, it's just it's the one that has the shape that feels like the speeder bike, right? Like, even though you're using the same yoke and everything, it is very much inspired, I think, by the way it's shaped, the speed and the vehicle of the speeder bike. Even though it's not like you don't sit on it or anything, it's very much like motorcycle-ish feeling for some reason. At least that's the impression or feeling I get from the way it looks. And this, like, I don't know, call it a coffin or a teepee or whatever you want to call it, because the way it comes up at an angle just doesn't look right to me. Like you said, if it had a different arcade in it, I'd probably be totally fine with the shape. But it's got Return of the Jedi in it, and it just doesn't look right to me.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm one of these weird people. Like, I'll always ask a question: if you can't do it right, should you do it at all? I said that when Arcade1Up was looking at doing WrestleFest. I said, I don't know if you should do it if you can't get Legion of Doom. I don't know if there's any point. And I'll say that too. If you're going to release one of these games and you can't stick it in the right cab, I mean, should you even consider it? Like, if it's not a perfect storm where you have the license, you have the right cab shape and all that stuff, I think these companies should be asking themselves, should we even do it?
That's fair. That's a fair point. No, that's why do it watered down if you can't do it right?
Yeah.
That's a great. Yeah, it's a fair point, Mike.
Yeah, the flip side of that, though, might be this may be the only way it ever gets done.
Well, that's the other side of it too, right? And like WrestleFest, I mean, I don't think we understand what kind of like huge licensing machine wrestling is. I will say this, like, you go online and you look at the number of like wrestling toy collectors. There's people with rooms full of these like figures and stuff like that. Like, you think Cool Toy is a big toy collector. There's guys with whole wings of their houses dedicated to shelves of wrestlers that, regardless of whether or not this has the right ROM, are going to go pick this up and add it to their house. Like, it may be a huge bust for us because like we're looking for arcade authenticity, and it sucks too because I mean WrestleFest is such a meaningful special game for me in my life, but it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
I forget that, Mike. You're a mark. So yeah,
I am not a mark. People confuse that term. They don't understand what a mark is. You know what a mark is, right?
Oh, I know what a mark is. I know what.
No, there's a difference of opinion what a mark is. There's a big difference of opinion in what a mark is. A mark is actually an old carnival term meaning somebody that's going to be easy to get money out of.
Yeah. Yes. No, the wrestling is co-opted to be some uber knowledgeable fan or smart. No. That's the confusion of it. It still fucking means the original carnival term. It's that the people on the outside that aren't involved in wrestling don't actually know.
that you'll buy basically anything you throw in front of them and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll say, like, for me, that cab was Blitz, right? Like, I like football so much. I like the original early versions of Blitz a ton that, it didn't bother me. It was missing players. I actually liked the sidearm because it had my team on it, right? Like, because that's what did it for me. Like, so it was like, this is awesome. And for the longest time, it's the cab that by far got the most play out of any of them. And it's probably the one that is least like the original because both the side art and missing features of the game. And so,
James,
yes, Mr. Encoder. Same thing I'm saying.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
P-Dubs wants a link.
P-Dubs can eat shit. P-Dubs isn't getting on. We don't bow to him.
Anyway.
I'm telling you right now, this is a community that doesn't bow to a leader like that.
But you would agree, the context of wrestling, Mike, having P-Dubs on to add to this is apropos. You would agree.
No, yes? P-Dubs is a vapid narcissist. He just wants to come on, try to act all noble and be like, we've talked about this enough. Guys, we got to golf.
Yeah. So there's a million questions I want to ask, because one of the ones I would ask is what's more offensive, the wrong side art or taking pieces out of the game? But I'm not even going to ask that. Instead, I'm going to ask, it's final question. You're the head of one of these arcade companies. What do you do to make things better? I don't want to say fix, right? Like, what's your dream? Like, how do you change their business model and what they're doing to match what you want, what you think the community would want?
I'll go. Why? What did he say? Wait, Mike, you can lose your.
That's all right. He'll run for Water District number 5. He'll be fine.
Water District number 5.
No, I think that it's about competition, and to take it back to wrestling. Wrestling was at its apex when it was NWA and ECW and WWF and WCW and competition.
Well, NWA was dead then, but I understand.
NWA was practically dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
But competition is good. So, I forget who said it. Somebody tweeted it, but it stands to be repeated. You root for A1U. You root for Iconic. The middle of the ground, regional people too. Not middle of the ground. That's the wrong term. The regional people like Phantom Arcade, my buddies Josh and Ed, Retrocade. Competition is good, is the point I'm trying to make. So as long as you have a healthy competition, then it's like going to an all-you-can-eat buffet. If you go to a buffet and there's only chicken and corn, that's kind of a lame buffet. But if you go and it's just this endless thing, and okay, what do I want? What do I choose? If everyone's appetite is so different, if you have such a dearth of competition, then everyone will be satisfied. If not by Iconic, by Basic Fun. If not by then someone else. So I think that's really, if you ask me what it's going to save the home arcade, I think it's that, James.
I agree with you and don't agree with you. I agree with you in the fact that iron sharpens iron. And I know that somewhere MG is dying because he's upset about my pronunciation of that. But anyways, iron sharpens iron. It's good that there's competition. I hope that, all these companies are successful. I hope that Arcade1Up is. I hope that Basic Fun is. I hope that, did I say Iconic? No, I don't know. I think I said Iconic yet. And even Unico, if they get into the recreation game. And I'm still hoping.
Thank you. Yeah,
I'm still hoping New Wave Toys do something. Because for me, for what I personally want in like a home arcade product, I'm willing to spend $500 to $1,000 on. I think New Wave Toys is the company that's going to bring that to reality for what I specifically want, right? So I hope all these companies are successful. I don't know if it means that it's going to lead to what I want specifically. I mean, I think it's pretty clear. We can see the direction they're going on. I think that Basic Fun and Arcade1Up are going to be carbon copies of each other.
Yeah.
And that might be a good thing, but also a bad thing, because I think you're looking for really retailer pleasing titles. I think that's their focus. I think John D and Iconic are looking to do more community-based stuff. But at the same time, John's selling a multicade, essentially, like you can add games to. He's selling like an Iconic arcade that's branded after an arcade. And that's cool, but there's concessions, like we talked about, like the 6 buttons and stuff like that. Yeah. It's not exactly what I want either. So I think there's going to be lots of interesting products, lots of cool stuff to buy. Might not be what I want, but it's cool to see so much new stuff coming out.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. So like I agree totally that competition makes everybody better. But also competition never lasts, right? The reason you still don't have WCW and WWF or WWE is because one wins and typically drives the other out of the market or takes them over, right?
So, and it's not usually one wins. Like if you actually look at WCW and WWF, one imploded. Like they were completely fine to cooperate at the same time. You look at AEW and WWE now, both are very successful and can be extremely successful unless someone does something incredibly stupid, like put Vince Russo as your booker and let him book Judy Bagwell on a pole matches. The WCW basically imploded in the run of a year when Vince Russo was booker, and it became unwatchable. This wasn't a tribalism thing. It really was fucking unwatchable.
Yeah, James, to keep you abreast, ECW, WCW, they're gone. But now there's 3 or 4, really, if you count Major League Wrestling. There's MLW, TNA, AEW, and WWE. But to your point, James, I want to, validate your point. What you're trying to say is the competition that was eventually falls at the wayside. So that's
and new people will pop up, right? Theoretically, and it'll ebb and flow. And the idea is that competition makes the big players, the existing players, get better because new entrants will innovate, right? They'll deliver what they believe the big players aren't offering. And if they're successful, then they'll grow and they'll become real competition for these guys. And so that's what I think is interesting. For the first time ever, I think we have real competition in the space. Yeah. There's been ancillary competition. You can go buy multi-cage, you can go buy other consoles, other ways to do these things. But now we have what is essentially 3 companies trying to build these kind of replicas at various sizes. And
maybe 4.
Well, Unico. Mike brought up Unico. Right? Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, there could be other companies too popping up. Who knows? But what you have is we're about to see over the rest of 2025 and through 2026 how consumers take to these options. Will they each just fill a gap and stay in their lane? Will they compete and some fail and pass away? Where will the money go? I think that will be the interesting thing because now you have real options that aren't going all to the same company, right?
So do you have your closing statement on a teleprompter or on notes on a pad to the side of you?
No, I was just...
You're looking at something. You're looking at something.
No,
Ellie, is it a teleprompter?
I have a screen up in front of me with the studio chat and stuff on, and then I have the big screen here. When I look down, I'm looking at you guys because the camera's up there with the little screen. So
it's weird, isn't it? Both. It's always weird to try to get yourself set up where you're doing this.
I'm trying to look at the camera, but the camera's much higher, and I like to look at people when I talk to them. So it's very confusing.
I still think that multiple companies can have success in this category as long as they offer things people want, don't get crazy with pricing, and someone doesn't implode and do something stupid like say all our arcades are going to be slims now. I mean, that's the Vince Russo option. One company has chose that, and we'll see how long they're in business.
And you have to wonder too if a lot of this is based on retail, like their success staying around.
That's a great point, James. Yeah.
Are retailers going to carry both? Who's going to win the retail battle?
Yes.
Right?
They're jockeying for position with Best Buy and Walmart and Costco. That's a great point. That's a great point because retail's not dead, and there's a race now. You could see, each one trying to sign deals with each corresponding outlet. That's a great point.
I hope that Basic Fun has signed a deal for their Supremes with Costco Canada. Basic Fun signed a deal with Costco Canada. I will at least buy 2. If your Centipede isn't as shitty as the one that showed off the LA Toy Fair, maybe 3. Definitely going to buy your Centipede countercade. The rest is all up in the air right now. Joe, P-Dubs is saying, get excited. He made a really good point here a minute ago. Let me go up and see it. James, thank you for letting me take over your show. That was really nice of you. See, the reason why I like P-Dub so much is sometimes we butt heads, but I know nobody's watched Demolition Man as much as me and P-Dubs. And he said Taco Bell won the franchise wars. Now all restaurants are called Taco Bell. See, that's a deep cut from Demolition Man.
I spoke to him on earlier this week, and I had no idea how much of a kibitzer he was. The first 20 minutes was a hazing, was like a roast, and he's just cracking up, and I'm just like, wow, you really like to bust chops.
See, a lot of the problem is me and P-Dub spend about 90% of our day trying to convince Danny to delete his channel. So you're kind of associated with Danny in some weird way.
I'm
so
not
that's
associated
probably
with
why.
him.
That's probably why you got lumped in.
No, I was never. I never did a pile on, even in school. Like, you know, so when I
I don't. I don't agree with piling on Danny. I agree with, shitting on him for current events.
Yeah.
that are actually happening, not falsities.
James, can you please send Patrick a link? He's asking for it, but this is the second time he's asking for it. I have things to say to him. It would be a nice way to close the show. I'm fighting for you, P-Dubs. You better not come on here and it's hee-haw at the Oasis at my expense.
What the fuck is this? Like, if me and you were in the bedroom now, you'd be like, can my buddy Jimmy come over? Like, well, let's make it a three-way. Like, I don't understand this.
He's about to open the nightstand and grab a sandwich out of the bottom drawer.
Yeah, it's hurting my feelings, Joe. Like, honestly, like I was excited to podcast with you, and now you're like, let's bring in the stunt cop.
I didn't do it with you because I didn't have my equipment, and I didn't want to embarrass you or myself with the cell phone. This is more. I'm
talking about on James's show. I was excited to do this tonight.
Oh, I don't know what you're saying. I'm sorry.
Oh, listen to fucking Danny here in the show Golf Time, like he's actually going to be invited.
So basically, I was just going to wrap up. So I sent P-Dubs the link.
You have the link.
But I wanted to thank both of you guys for jumping on. Of course, you guys make sure you follow Joe Cade. Go subscribe to his channel. Go subscribe to Mike B if you're not already. I don't know why you're watching me, but definitely
don't subscribe to me. It's the worst thing you can do. Subscribe to Cool Toy.
Yeah, he gets the ROM. So there you go.
Hey, all right. Don't let me regret this, P-Dubs.
Oh my goodness.
I don't want
Joe called me earlier this week because he just wanted some help. He's like, hey man, like, what kind of green screen should I buy? Microphones and stuff. He's just asking for like YouTube advice.
So did you tell him to put up the leopard print behind him with the green screen?
No. It just reminds me of that scene from Road Trip where he's like, did you kill a cheetah? No, this is her underwear. That background is terrible, Joe. Joe, I've been losing my mind. I'm watching this stream and all I see is this leopard print wallpaper. What are you doing, man? Joe, you got to change it up.
I took your advice. Things take time to ship. And James said this impromptu. I wanted to be a gentleman. I wanted to say, yes, James, I'll join your show. But this is a process, and I appreciate your advice. And that's it.
Yeah. I wouldn't worry about it.
What was I busting your balls about, Joe, when we were talking on the phone?
Oh, stop. What weren't you busting my balls about? Everything and anything. The blood type, my shoe size, name it. It was a 40-minute haze. This is
Joe, I just got a private message from MG. He wants me to ask you a very important question. He only asks this of certain people, so I'm guessing he likes you. Do you still have your foreskin?
Oh, my God. I'm gone. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's Mike, there's a line. You've crossed the line, Mike. You've crossed the line.
That is the perfect way to end the night.
Wait, James. I just want to say, I just got here. Shut up, James. So for real. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, so Joe, I like Joe Cade. All right, guys, I really, really do. Make sure you guys subscribe to Joe Cade. He's a brand new YouTuber. What's funny is when the newer channels reach out to the greasy veterans like us and they ask for advice and stuff. What's so funny is, Mike, do you remember being like a doe-eyed young YouTuber? Like, you don't really understand how all this social media works and stuff. So sure enough, like Joe calls me and he's asking me stuff, and I'm doing what I would do to anybody. I'm like telling him like all these like shit that's not even real. Companies going out of business, you know what I mean? All this stuff, and and they're so gullible. They believe everything you say, right?
Pull over on the side of the road. He's
wait! I remember.
Pull over right now.
I remember. This is great. Okay, like, this is great. I remember.
The secret to everything. I'm like,
can you bring up the comment from MG, please?
All right, this is great. So I'm talking to Joe Cade. Joe Cade's asking me, he's like, P-Dubs, how do I use this OBS? Like, how do I get this stuff set up? And like, what can I do to have good stream? I was like, okay, do you have a pen ready? And he's like, yeah.
Pull over. This is extremely
He's like,
important.
I'm driving right now, but I'll pull over. I was like, wait, you're driving right now while you're talking to me? He goes, yeah, I'm driving. I'm like, okay, pull over. I want you to be safe. So a couple minutes later, he pulls over. I was like, did you pull over? He's like, yeah. I was like, you got a pen, piece of paper to write on? He's like, yeah. I said, okay, here's what you're going to do to really get your channel going. Ready?
Please tell me you hung up on him.
No, listen. I said, okay, write down step 1. And he goes, okay. And I can hear him scribbling. He's like, step 1. And I go, delete your channel. and he goes, you should have seen him. Oh, it was great. I heard this dead silence on the other line. This dead silence. Like, I just pulled over to get advice from this guy. And this is what he said to me. Oh man, dude, you had to be there. It was so freaking.
I have a bone to pick with both of you guys. Why weren't you in Cleveland? I was looking forward to hanging out.
I went 2 years ago. It's just kind of like Pinball Expo. I went to Pinball Expo. People who know me, obviously you don't watch the channel, Joe. People that know me know that. Like when I go to these conventions, I like to like kind of switch them up. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to go to the same one every single year.
You can't expect me and P-Dubs to go to the same convention where instead of going to the convention, we sit outside and smoke all the time. Like we can't do that all the time at the same place.
I can smoke anywhere else. I can smoke in Phoenix. But, yeah. So what I'm saying is, I like to switch it up. Like the last time I went to CES was 2020. So it's been 5 years since I've been to CES. So I'm going to go back to CES. And next year I want to do new conventions. I'm already looking at Texas Pinball Festival.
Oh, that's a good one. I want to go to that one too.
Or my wife got excited when I told her about, they do the Pinball at the Beach convention.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one too.
And she's like, oh my God, I'll go with you. And I'm like, yeah, that would be great. So like instead of doing Chicago Pinball Expo this year, next year I'll do Texas or Pinball at the Beach. But I'm leaning towards Pinball at the Beach, because the wife is excited about. Guys, we only live once. You want to check out as many conventions as possible. And I'm sorry, when I wake up in the morning or when it's like 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm having a poo watching Brooklyn Menace play games live, I do not. He's on at 2 o'clock in the morning when I have to take my 2 o'clock dump.
He's always on.
You know what I mean? The last thing I want to think about is, God, I can't wait until I can get back to Cleveland. You know what I mean? Like, what kind of fucking idiot wakes up and says, man, I can't wait to go back to Cleveland? You know what I mean? I did Cleveland once. I'm good.
Really Rad Weekend is another good one out in Destin, Florida.
Yeah, you know what I really want to do? I want to go back. I want to go to the arcade from Fistful of Quarters, the one that's out in the woods, like towards Maine. The other big arcade, like Galloping Ghost. The guys do it every year. Like they go for a convention. They get the cabins just down the road from it. You know what I'm talking about? The other one from King of County,
Maine. You said?
Yeah, it's closer to Maine or something like that. I can't remember the name, but now it's the other one that's considered the biggest arcade in the world.
I know what you're talking about. The name slips me.
I just wanted to pop on real quick, give Joe a hard time because that was so funny that I made him pull over. Just
I know why you're really here, you son of a bitch. You can't let me have anything.
Oh, that's not true, Mike. You're the one riding my coattails here, Mike. Come on. Everywhere I go, I turn around. Here comes Michael B.
I'm sorry. I remember James inviting me to this show. I didn't see your invitation.
You already ruined your friendship with Console Kits last week. You really want to go there tonight with me, Mike?
Oh, no, I doubled down on that tonight.
Yeah.
I doubled down on that tonight. He was getting on with some shit in the private chat, and he was like, something about pronouns. And I said, my pronouns for you are fucking off.
All right. I'm going to go play video games. I'll talk to you guys later. James, thanks for letting me come on just for a quick minute. You guys have a good night. Give us a thumbs up on the way out. Thank you for subscribing. And unsubscribe from Michael B. the Game Genie. He's got enough.
All right. Until next time, have fun.